sole owner, so the company is fully bootstrapped. We haven't raised any funds or any money. We haven't let any investors come in so far. So it's a company which I initially started 6 years ago to develop applications for third-party clients. So we were pretty much a service company, and over the years we've evolved towards building and publishing our own apps. So I started alone. I'm a developer myself, so the very first few projects I was working on were coded by my own self, and as we started getting more clients, I recruited a small team, but the company now has 6 people, including myself, and that's the biggest we've ever had. So the business model is very much so, we build and publish our own applications. All the applications that we have on the store follow a very similar business model, which is freemium. So they are free to download, and then we monetize the apps through advertising as well as in-app purchases for premium features and premium content. So we've just passed 21 million downloads during Ramadan this year. I believe it took 2 years to reach the first million, and then another year to go from 1 million to 5 million, and we're now growing at 500,000 to 1 million new downloads every day. Muslim Pro is clearly our flagship application today. We do have another 3 or 4 applications on the store, but I would say 90% of the time that we spend is spent on Muslim Pro. Muslim Pro is an app which we have launched in 2010, during Ramadan 2010 in August. So it's been 5 years, and initially the story behind Muslim Pro is very funny. So it was initially an app to test the Indonesian market. 6 or 7 years ago, so before Muslim Pro, I used to think and brag that Indonesia was going to become the next gold mine of mobile internet. It was probably a bit early, and not many people wanted to, I wouldn't say believe, because everybody agreed with you. You didn't have to be a wizard to know that Indonesia was going to become big in mobile internet, but it was probably a bit early, so nobody really wanted to engage in that market 7 years ago. And I told myself, I speak fluent Indonesian, I live an hour away from Jakarta here in Singapore, I am a mobile developer myself, so why do I tell others to do it? Why don't I just do it myself? And there I was, trying to think of an idea of an app that I could develop for the Indonesian market. And one of the first things that came to me was, Indonesia is the biggest Muslim population in the world. Maybe there's something we can do around religion. This was just before Ramadan, a few months before Ramadan in 2010, because we've launched during Ramadan, but it took us a little while to develop. And I thought maybe we could do an app to not just calculate fasting times during Ramadan, because that app would only have been used once a year, but prayer times. And that's every year, 365 days, 5 times a day. So that's how Muslim Pro began, an app to calculate prayer times for the Indonesian population. Funny enough, it didn't work at all. It was too early as well for Indonesia. So everyone who used to tell me that it was too early, they were actually right, and I was wrong. Where I would say I was lucky is that the app immediately took off and got some traction, some momentum in developed countries where smartphone penetration was already high, and those were France, US, and the UK. Back in 2010, smartphone penetration in Indonesia and in the rest of the developing world was very, very low. So there was no way my app could have worked, because people were Muslim but they did not have iPhones or Android phones. But in the US, in the UK, and in France, people have smartphones, and you have very strong Muslim minorities in those countries. So the app started becoming very successful and popular in these countries. And over the years, as the developed countries continue to develop and as the smartphone penetration continue to increase in these territories, the app has slowly taken off in those countries as well. So I wouldn't say it was due to a change in strategy. I think it was due to two factors. One under our control, one completely out of our control. First is when we launched Muslim Pro in 2010, we launched on iOS only. And the smartphone penetration was low in Indonesia. The iOS penetration was even lower. And it's still not huge today. Indonesia used to be a BlackBerry country. It's now an Android and BlackBerry country, very much Android. So the first thing which did accelerate the growth in developing world was the launch of Muslim Pro for Android. And that came probably in April 2012, if I'm not wrong. So about 18 months after the initial launch on iOS. So that was clearly key in the acceleration of our growth in these countries, which were not very strong on iOS. And the second thing, like I mentioned earlier, is the organic acceleration of the smartphone penetration in these countries. And that's not something we have control of. It's just something we benefit from. Indonesia, like India, like Pakistan, like some countries in North Africa, is experiencing a huge and very fast growth in the smartphone penetration and has been experiencing such growth for the past 2, 3, 4 years. And that's something we're surfing on.